This is the Hollywood Outsider, a weekly entertainment podcast where this week we are talking about the latest in movie and TV news, looking at upcoming releases including Prometheus. We're reviewing Men in Black 3 and Chernobyl Diaries this week. We have our own trivia and flashback DVD segments. On our From the Outside In topic this week, in light of last week's news on G.I. Joe 2's last-minute switch to 2013, is 3D and small test screenings changing movies for the better or for the worse? You can always subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher Radio. If you do, please share us with your friends on Facebook and Twitter or anywhere else you can find an RSS feed. With that, I am your host, Aaron Peterson. With me today are my co-host, Scott Clark.
How you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing great, except I can't breathe now because I said all that crap.
I am preparing for the zombie apocalypse after the news this week. I'm stocking up.
I don't know what you're talking
Did
about.
you hear about it?
It's starting.
It's starting, man. Guy in Miami
People
was
are chewing faces off out there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Guy was shot and killed because he was eating a guy's face off.
He was eating it?
Literally.
Yep.
Literally.
Well, we'll come back in a second. Justin McCumber
Wonder if he has some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
and Brian Williams.
Good evening.
Good evening. Now, what the fuck are you talking about? There's a zombie apocalypse?
No, there's a guy that apparently was hopped up on some kind of drug that they're still inquiring about as to what it was, that was literally eating, he's a homeless guy, eating another man's face. And authorities were called, police came, told him to get off of him, took 6 shots, the 6th shot finally to the head, fatally killed the guy, and you should see the picture of the guy's face. It's ridiculous.
This is a true story?
This is totally
Yeah.
true. It's in Miami.
And it's like the crazy, I don't know what it does or how you take it, but apparently he was on bath salts.
Yep.
He was on bath salts?
Bath salts.
You can't make this shit up.
He ate a guy's face and he smelled refreshing?
Maybe that's how he lures you over with that. That's
open
that
pores.
nice bath aroma. That smells kind of fresh. Very nice. And then up on your face.
He is the most pleasantly smelling homeless serial killer I've ever met. That's a story I haven't heard. I don't know.
Yeah, it's all over the place. They show there's video and there's images and stuff because ironically it happened right at the base of the newspaper building apparently.
Really?
Yeah. So
Dude, I've been out of town for a week and I knew about it.
I'm sorry. Well, there's Scott Clark with breaking news. Thanks, man. Well, let's jump right into it. Some of the movie news of this week. Bradley Cooper is going to play an American sniper. It's actually called American Sniper, about the most lethal sniper in U.S. military history. And also, The Hangover 3 is going to start filming soon, and this time the boys are apparently heading to Tijuana.
Yeah, it's apparently based on the autobiography of a Navy SEAL. So I'm assuming he lives at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert.
Why are you assuming? Oh,
Well,
autobiography.
it's autobiography.
The last page. I think I've got.
The words just trail downward. It has little blood spots at the end of it. It should be pretty. I mean, Bradley Cooper he's a major draw. He's a pretty decent actor. He's a kind of a physical actor, and we love sniper movies. I don't know what it is about the taking somebody out from a long distance type of thing that we like, but we do. I don't know if it's Americans or just us as people, because there's a lot of sniper centric movies out there. So,
Isn't the world's record for a sniper kill actually, though, held by a Canadian?
Hey? I
think
don't know.
so. I think it's like a 2 mile, 2-point-something mile
something like that. Yeah.
kill.
Wow.
When you can kill someone that far out, you must feel like God.
I kind of want to try now. If I get like 50 feet, I feel like impressed with myself. Somebody's at the mailbox. Got him!
I'm getting better, y'all.
What about the Tijuana? What do you think about Hangover 3 going to Mexico?
I've been to Tijuana. You can get in a lot of trouble there. So,
It's going to be one long donkey show?
well, from what they're saying,
basically.
from what they're saying, this is not going to be just a reboot or a rehash of the exact same story.
Right,
It's supposed to be a
different plot.
fresh story.
Yeah.
So I'm more excited about that than I am about the location, just because I want to see them get into some other kind of trouble than the exact same freaking story.
Yeah, but given the bloody kind of history of that town, especially with all of the drug wars that have sprung up in that area, I'm kind of wondering how much comedy can be had, and if they're going to completely ignore, all of the drug violence that goes on in Tijuana.
I would,
Or if that's
say
going to
they-
be
they- I
central
would
in
say
the,
they
in the
probably
story.
would.
They'll probably encourage it. I mean, given their history,
It's good for press.
it is. All right, Anthony Hopkins is in talks to play the villain in Red 2. That's the sequel to Red, which is about old gun-toting bastards continuing to be old gun-toting bastards. And now they're making another one.
I liked the original Red. I thought that was a fun movie. It wasn't like like top 10 or anything like that, but it was a lot of fun. And putting Anthony Hopkins in there as a villain just sounds like a lot of fun to me. I'm excited about that idea.
Why make a sequel to that, though? That was one of those good one-off movies.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, but
It's Hollywood we're talking about,
Yeah.
dude. Come on.
I just wish they'd leave it alone.
Oh, no.
Are they going to change the title to, like, Blue?
Maroon,
Red 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Hazel?
Hazel.
Yeah, but apparently this one may be put on hold a little bit leading into your next story.
Well, go ahead. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, about Thor 2, because,
Oh.
Anthony Hopkins, of course, plays Odin,
That's
and
true.
they're, going to be filming that, if not already, shortly. And Red 2 is going to be held on, to be put on hold until Anthony Hopkins is done with Thor 2.
Wow. Well, la-di-da. I did not know
Read
that.
your own news articles, man. It's in there.
That's why I got you guys.
That's right.
It's a slow news week.
Speaking of Thor 2, Mads Mikkelsen, who basically was the guy that...
Casino
The
Royale.
shift.
Yeah, he was the guy from Le Chiffre from Casino Royale. He is going to be playing an unnamed villain in Thor 2. And in other Marvel news, Jon Favreau did confirm that even though he's not directing it, he will appear as Happy Hogan in Iron Man 3.
Yeah, Mads Le Chiffre, you make sure you put the little hint of that R at the end because you have to do it. It was a really good villain. Probably not the best of the Bond villains. I don't think he comes, close to being one of the best. But the guy had a certain menace to him that I would love to see brought to Thor. I have no idea who he's going to be playing, but the guy's he definitely has an interesting feel to him as an actor. So I think it's definitely a good choice. And as far as Favreau and Happy Hogan, I'm glad to see that too, because he was always a nice little bit of comedy thrown in on those films. So even though he's not directing it, I'm sure, if Shane Black needs a couple of hints here and there, he'll be there to provide it.
I'm
I like Mickelson in King Arthur. He was one of the knights in King Arthur. He was the one with the bird.
Never saw
And,
it.
You never saw that?
Nope.
Was that the one with Keira Knightley?
Yeah.
That's why I never saw
that.
it.
I never saw that either.
That's exactly
Man,
why I
that's-
never watched it.
You don't like Keira Knightley?
I do not like Keira Knightley.
Just because she has no breasts, or
Just because she's boring.
really?
And she looks like a dude.
I liked her in
Not
Pirates of the
really.
Caribbean.
That makes more sense that you like her because she looks like a dude. I'm just saying.
I like the Excalibur look of King Arthur more than the actual, if he did exist, type of look at it. I prefer the more fantastical take. So I was never interested in that more realistic take on King Arthur.
Well, check out Valhalla Rising because that stars that Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh, okay.
I've heard that's really good.
It's a Ford movie. It's kind of slow, but it's pretty deep and some pretty good fight scenes and stuff in it. So
Can I just tell you, you thought that I don't like Keira Knightley because she has small breasts? Like that's how I determine who my favorite actresses are?
No,
I'm not Scott Clark. I just don't like her.
Aaron's got depth.
Yeah, I got depth.
Thanks, guys.
He's an onion. He got layers.
Just
yeah, but
peeling
underneath
back.
you're still a fucking onion.
Will
Just make us
Smith.
cry.
Will Smith is keen to do a Bad Boys 3, and he's actually said this in several different interviews that he's actually working on a script, or they're looking at scripts currently. And Martin Lawrence, well, of course he's on board.
What's he doing?
Yeah, what's he doing?
Big Mama's House 5?
Yeah. Anybody excited about this?
Fuck yes.
Yeah. I think
loved Bad Boys, and Bad Boys 2 loved even more.
yeah, I'm excited. I don't think it's a sequel that needs to be done, but I'm looking forward to it. It's time. I
As
think.
long as Bay's doing it. If he's handing it off to somebody else, interest waning. But if Bay's doing it, oh God, yeah.
Absolutely.
How do you top running corpses over? I mean, really, from the second one?
I'm sure it can
That's
be
a
done.
high point of buddy cop cinema.
I know, maybe they'll drop out of a plane this time.
and,
Just
some,
raining corpses.
Doom, doom, doom.
and some Skittles. That's my favorite line in this movie.
I like it when the
now,
when
do you guys think that it's probably been too long since the last one?
No.
I think it's perfect.
Sorry, I think you're the only one that doesn't care about this, Brian.
Because weren't they're the young cops in those movies, right? They can be kind of the veterans a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
know.
So, that's what we need is two Murtaughs running around fucking
Hey, don't
people
be
up.
I'm
spreading
too
your
old
hate,
for this shit.
Brian. Get your hate off. Of
No,
my-
it's not so much a hate for the movie because I enjoy the movies. I really do. But
Maybe start
I'm
Bradley
not-
Cooper and another
I,
white
I
guy.
don't like Martin Lawrence, and I just think it's one of these ones that they've waited too long to do the sequel, and I'm starting to see a trend here of these kind of like Anchorman and a couple others where they say, you know what, we're running out of ideas. Let's try to, relive the magic, and it just might. I'm just saying it might be too late.
Granted, based on box office receipts, you're not the only one who doesn't like Martin Lawrence, but Will Smith tends to still be pretty popular, and you put those two together, and it's funny. That's really
but
all
Martin
it is.
Lawrence isn't popular because of Big Mama's House. Well, I mean,
No, he's just not popular because he's boring.
yeah.
I've always liked Martin
He's got
Lawrence.
the same shtick in every movie.
So it's funny shtick though.
Obviously not, because
Ooh,
So, but it looks like, hey, we'll get to see the little slow motion stand up after falling off a car or something like that.
Yes.
That Michael, Bay does in every single movie, and especially these movies. The
hope he does it
sweaty,
twice.
panting, slow motion stand up with the camera circling them and that kind of stuff.
I get the impression that Michael Bay is not far behind the list of Joss Whedon for Justin. Like, I mean,
He just does action in a way that just plays right into my heart.
he makes
I
escapist.
agree. I do not hate on Michael Bay at all.
me either.
I like everything but the Transformers movies, the last two. Sorry.
I even like those.
What?
I even like them.
Man, the second
No,
one
no,
was
no. I'm down with that. The last two. You didn't like this last one that was out.
I liked the last one was much better than the second one, but I thought both were way below the first one. How's that?
I like the first one because it
I
introduced.
think
like
Brian left.
Well, hang on. Let me pick my jaw off the floor here. I'm just shocked.
Sorry.
Well, maybe we should just move on then before Aaron just kills it even more.
Alan Rickman is going to play Hilly Crystal in CBGB. It's based on a prominent nightclub in the 70s. But Malin Ackerman is going to play Debbie Harry in Castles, which is what I'm pretty excited about. Stana Katic is she signed on to play another rock star.
Yeah, CBGB, it actually stands for Country, Bluegrass, and Blues, but strangely enough, it never actually played that sort of music. It became quite famous for the punk and the new wave bands that played in there, like the Ramones and Patti Smythe, and of course the Blondie, like you just said. So it's an interesting place that in New York, I don't feel like I know enough about. I'm much more interested in a movie about this place than I would have been about what was it, Studio 51?
54,
yeah, 54.
54. I got no fucking interest in that. But this one, I actually, I'm interested in seeing. And Malin Ackerman, I like her quite a bit. I first saw her, I think, in that TV show that, chick from Friends did, The Comeback. But she had a part as a young actress in that. And I liked her quite a bit. And most of the stuff she's done since then I've liked. And so, yeah, I'm interested in seeing this. And Alan Rickman, I'll watch him in damn near anything.
Yeah, agreed. I think she's a good cast too for Debbie.
For Debbie Harry,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm not a big 70s music guy, but I would watch it.
Yeah, I'm going to hate on this one too.
It's right. Really, Brian? I didn't know my job was vacant. Is there,
I know. I was like, say, did Aaron pass the haterade on down?
You're in too good of a mood today, so somebody's got to pick up your slack. I just got to me, CBGB is just nothing but a poser T-shirt that assholes wear to act like they're cool or something, like they've been, that have never even been to New York, much less been to CBGBs.
Yeah,
And
but don't blame the club for the assholes wearing their shirts.
it's just that's just what I don't blame the club. I'm just saying that I see CG whatever CBGB, and that's what I think of. I think of the douchebags wearing a shirt that
say that 3 times real fast.
The hipsters out there.
yeah. I don't know. It's just to me. I don't have any interest in seeing a movie about a nightclub that I was too young to get into 30 years ago.
Oh, that's why
just-
you're bitter. You couldn't get in. No, I know. He's just
So,
mad.
yeah, I don't know. It's not my thing.
Is it clear who the chick from Castle is playing yet? Which?
I
what
didn't know who the person was.
Oh, okay.
So, but there's a bunch of different actors that are signing on to play various rock stars, so it'll be interesting to see who everybody ends up playing. Should be cool. Now let's go to
Welcome to Brian's Trailer Park. All right, well, in what looks like the scariest movie of 2012 so far, The Possession, starring Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Kira Sedgwick, is about a young girl who buys an antique box at a yard sale, unaware that inside this little thing lives a malicious ancient spirit. The girl's father teams with his ex-wife to find a way to end the curse upon their child. Yeah, now at first glance, when I watched this, I was kind of thinking, oh, great, a Jewish exorcist. But there are some spooky visuals. And, of course, it is based on a true story, which is pretty much all it takes to get, most of us to check it out. So,
Oy vey.
Now, I know, Justin, you're not too much of a religious fella, but I do know these types of movies kind of freak you out with the religious spin on them. Does this one kind of grab you like it grabbed me?
I like that they are going with a Jewish spin on it as opposed to your usual Catholic exorcism movie. That gives it a little bit more interest to me than if it had been just your standard type of exorcism film. But I'm finding that with these sorts of movies, that their reliance on CGI and these incredibly bizarre sorts of imagery,
Like the bugs, the locusts,
the
whatever.
bugs or the hand coming out of the mouth and those sorts of things. It's almost, it makes me look back at The Exorcist, really the first possession movie that did it right. And what is it that The Exorcist did that made it work so well, and yet these newer films about possession not? And the Exorcist didn't rely, and of course it couldn't have at the time, but it didn't rely a lot on all sorts of special effects to make up for, a young girl's performance and the men playing the Exorcist's performances. There were some special effects involved. There had to be, but it was more about just this creation of intense dread and fear through nothing more than seeing the breath of a character come out of their mouth in a dark room. Just this Spartan look worked so well for a movie that was about a young girl being possessed. And now you get these movies that are full of all this weird shit, and it's like they're trying too hard. And I wish they would not try so hard. It's not about all the fucking whiz-bangery of special effects, but about the drama of a young person's soul in jeopardy and the fear of the people around her trying to save her and what's happening. And so there's a certain amount of interest, especially because, Raimi's doing it, and I'll always be a Raimi fan, even though I didn't think, what was that one?
Drag Me to Hell.
Drag Me to Hell was all that
Spider-Man.
great.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was
I like
fun.
Spider-Man.
Shut
And
up,
of course, the Evil Dead movies I love, but they're trying way too hard to sell possession, and I wish they wouldn't. But Henry Dean Morgan being in it gives me a little more interest. I liked him in Supernatural. I liked him in Watchmen. So I'm interested, but it'll probably more than likely be a rental because I don't know if I'm willing to spend $20+ to see a movie that I'm afraid that all of this stuff is just going to overdo it.
I actually agree with him. Several people I know have watched the trailer and thought, well, this looks fantastic. But that is exactly what I was thinking while I was watching it. Granted, Sam Raimi's name made me go, ooh. And apparently, if you look at the trailer, you can see the Buick. It's custom old Buick, yeah. But I very much felt the same way, that they're showing me way too much. It's going to be too much of a razzle-dazzle. Not enough of, let's.
So you think they're kind of blowing their wad already with showing you all the good stuff, and then you get there, and then it's
I'm
like,
kind of
okay, I got the same feeling from this 2-minute preview that I'm sitting here for an hour and a half.
I'm in the same mindset. I just think that it is getting very old, where every horror movie now has to have that same, let's busy, 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 busy. And it just doesn't scare me. It doesn't scare me. It's more, oh, it's pretty, it looks cool. And ooh, that image was a little freaky, but it doesn't scare me. And they don't make scary movies anymore. And I don't think this one is much different than, many of the other horror movies that have come out the last few years, where it's all about just keeping the story moving. It's like an action movie anymore, where they just have to keep the pictures busy.
Kind of, but I will say that they do make scary films these days, but they tend to be more the found footage ones that I find to be more scary. The Paranormal Activities, and up to the shitty fucking end of it, The Devil Inside had some genuine scares in it. But again, I think that's because they have to be so Spartan. Mm-hmm. They can't rely on CGI overblown all over the screen, and that's Spartanness that works.
They're forced to actually drum up the suspense.
Yes,
exactly, and the drama. I will say, though, that the young girl in the possession does bear a certain resemblance to Linda Blair, especially in some of the scenes where she's looking, a bit traumatized. I got definite Linda Blair vibe from her. So, I don't know, maybe she can actually pull off a pretty good performance despite all the shit going on around her.
See, I don't think you can get away with a lot of the stuff that they did in The Exorcist nowadays.
I disagree.
I disagree as well.
Insidious is a perfect example to me. That movie cost, $1 million, and it was very cheaply made, you can tell. But they built the whole movie around atmosphere, and people bought into it. It was the biggest horror movie.
I mean, some of the shock factor that went into The Exorcist. You had what was she, 12 years old? Stabbing herself in the crotch with a crucifix. And
that's everybody a date by the time you're 14, yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I think you could get away with some
You think
of
so?
that stuff. Yeah, I think you could.
All right, well, we disagree to agree. So.
I'd be less interested if Raimi weren't behind it.
Absolutely. It still looks cool. Don't get me wrong. It looks like every other horror movie I've seen in the last couple of years. It doesn't really look. It doesn't look original.
It kind of piques my interest, but I don't know if I'm just kind of nervous that I'm seeing all the good stuff in the preview. That's going to draw me into it and then be disappointed.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, The Possession opens on August 31st later on this summer, so.
That seems a strange time for that. Why not just push it back a couple of months for
Labor Day weekend?
No. Oh, okay. I'm just thinking that something like that would make more sense around Halloween.
Well, for some reason, I've noticed in the last few years, the scary movies tend to come out late August and in September. For whatever reason, they come out 4 or 5 weeks or 5 or 6 weeks or more, before Halloween. I don't know what the
last few years, Saw and Paranormal Activity have ruled Halloween, so they just stay away from it.
Stay away.
Stay away.
Okay.
All right. When you think of Will Smith, you think of summer blockbuster movies. Apparently, Leonardo DiCaprio is trying to corner the market on Christmas Day. He's had 4 Christmas blockbusters, and he's looking to add 2 more this year, including the one from our second trailer selection, The Great Gatsby. The film, based on F. Scott Fitzgerald's classic by the same title, follows Nick Carraway, who's a Midwesterner now living on Long Island, and finds himself fascinated by the mysterious past and lavish lifestyle of his neighbor, Jay Gatsby. He is drawn into Gatsby's circle, becoming a witness to obsession and tragedy. So, I gotta go to our guy who puts the Scott in F. Scott Fitzgerald.
What the fuck?
So, yeah, is this something you want to see?
I do want to see it. I'm not sure if I'm going to run to the theater, but it looks really interesting. I'm ashamed to say that I haven't read The Great Gatsby, so I'm not very familiar with the story. But it looks really intriguing. Leonardo DiCaprio in that role. There's something about him with the slick back hair, like the 20s look, that just really works for him. I think it's going to be awesome to see it. The movie just bleeds Baz Luhrmann. Like, it just feels like his hands in it, obviously, because he directed it. But with his style is all through it. I'm really excited to see it. I think it looks very intriguing, but cautiously optimistic, I guess.
I don't know what the hell it's about.
I don't either.
From the trailer, I don't know what the hell it's about. I tried watching it, and obviously I didn't know that Leo was going for Jesus' spot, according to Brian. But he has had a lot of Christmas movies. And I think the Django Unchained comes out on Christmas Day,
exactly.
too.
That's the other one that's coming out later this year. Great Gatsby, the Django Unchained is on Christmas Day this year. Catch Me If You Can came out Christmas Day of 2002. Christmas Day of 2004 was The Aviator. And on the, let's see, Gangs of New York was on the 20th. Titanic was on the 19th.
Wow.
Well,
And then Blood Diamond was actually December 8th. So he's even close enough. So you actually got about 7 altogether.
hey, whatever works for the guy. But the trailer, I mean, outside of very, very beautiful visual cues and fantastic music, I don't know what the hell it's about. It just looked like Leo walking around looking confused. I thought I was watching Shutter Island again, with just better music.
It reminded me of The Aviator a little bit, like his character.
I didn't like The Aviator at
And
all.
see, that's what I kept thinking is The Aviator, J. Edgar, Shutter Island. And I don't know what it is about early 20th century period pieces with him. Or even earlier if you can't factor in Gangs of New York. So, it's all right.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I did read it when I was young and in school, and I do remember not liking it, though whether it was because I was forced to read it or because I just didn't like the book. I don't remember. It's been so long, but I absolutely just detested that trailer, and mostly because it looked too slick and it looked far too CGI and just so many scenes looked like they were entirely computer generated. And I guess when I think The Great Gatsby, I don't think slick, super CGI'd visuals. And it just, you said it's got Buzz Lerman all over it, and it does, and I don't like it. Just something about this trailer completely turned me off. I have absolutely no interest in seeing this, period.
I just don't want to see Moulin Rouge 2 because I didn't like Moulin Rouge 1.
It very much reminded me of that, yeah.
I love Moulin Rouge.
I didn't. Moulin Rouge is one of those movies where, as a movie, it's not very good. But because of the music, it seems good. It's not. I'm telling you, he drugs people before they watch it.
All right. Well, y'all can catch these trailers and those from the recent episodes at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. And if you've got any kind of thoughts or any kind of topic ideas, you
Any
can
at
always
all.
find us on Twitter at @H_outsider. And check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/The Hollywood Outsider.
That's /.
Okay, /. Just keep putting in slashes until you find one that works. Or email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com.
Stump the Hoe.
Now it's time for Stump the Hoe. Each week, one of our hosts poses a trivia question to the remaining hosts in an attempt to stump their fellow hoes. Hoe stands for Hollywood Outsider, not actual prostitutes. This week, it's my turn.
Someday we need to bring an actual prostitute on the show just so it could be a real hoe.
We have Scott Clark. He had a heroin habit once. You want to talk about it?
Wow.
Sorry, that was private. I
Well,
forgot.
just because you got a heroin addict doesn't mean you're a hoe.
Well, he was blowing people for heroin.
Oh, well, okay, you didn't say that. I guess you thought that was implied.
Well, we're
My wife wants to know if we can have one episode where we're going to talk about blowing guys.
do we have that a lot?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel bad.
Bring back too many memories?
Yes. All right. Well, we're going to ask the question, and then we'll give you the answer a little later in the show. Here's my question. Ready?
Ready?
Will Smith, because we're going to be reviewing Men in Black 3 here in a second. Will Smith has been out of the limelight for almost 4 years. Until 7 Pounds came out and broke his streak in 2008, he maintained the record for most consecutive $100 million box hits domestically. He still holds this record. How many $100 million movies did he have in a row? Was it A, 6, B, 8, C, 10, or D, 12? And I totally did D12 on purpose. Scott?
C, 10.
Okay. Justin?
I'll go with B, 8.
Okay. Brian?
Yeah, I'll say 8.
Okay. Well, we'll give you the answer a little later in the show, so stick around. You can find out. Now let's go to the big screen. Scotty?
All right, we're going to do a quick recap of last week's episode, which was episode 43, Battle Hose. There we talked about the releases for June 1st, which were Battlefield America, Piranha 3DD, or 3DD, and Snow White and the Huntsman. And that the last there was all four of us chose that as our pick of the week. We did also do our reviews of Battleship and The Dictator. And then in our weekly topic, we discussed our favorite TV cliffhanger. So be sure to check out that episode.
All right. Stay classy, San Diego. Men in Black 3 came out Memorial Day weekend. Did all right. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But, Scott, what'd you think of Men in Black 3?
I went into this movie with less lesser expectations than I came out with it. This movie stars Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones playing their same roles from before. The movie starts out with a prisoner escaping on the moon. It's Boris the animal escapes on the moon. It kind of starts out a little bit rough. I went in the first 10 or 15 minutes of this movie and went, what am I in for? It was kind of ridiculous. But basically Boris escapes, decides that he's going to travel back in time to kill Agent K, who shot off his arm back in the 70s, I believe it was, 60s. 69, 70. And it's up to Agent J, played by Will Smith, to go back in time and stop Boris from killing Agent K. And hilarity ensues, and he runs into Agent K, younger version, played by Josh Brolin.
You look so confused explaining this. You're like, what was it? What?
So Josh Brolin plays a young version of Agent K, and wow, does he nail this role. He sounds, looks, acts exactly like Tommy Lee Jones. It's quite impressive. The movie actually ends, in my opinion, pretty well. I liked how it wrapped it up. I did not see the ending coming at all. Maybe you did, but I enjoyed it, and I had a lot of fun with it. What did you think of it, Aaron?
Well, Scott, I really liked it. I thought it was quite a fine film. You're so serious. I liked it. I thought the first 10 minutes of the movie were awful.
Yeah, it was
just
bad.
Awful. It's not really spoiling anything, but basically Boris has to escape for this all to go down, and it's the worst 10 minutes I've seen in a movie in a long time.
Yeah.
But then it got better. It actually turned into a fun movie. I was pleasantly surprised because I was convinced this was the biggest waste of $40 I'd spent in a long time because I took my daughter. 3D, totally unnecessary.
Yep.
I don't know if it was added after the fact or what, but it was not exciting. It was not beautiful. It was just there. Will Smith was definitely back and charming as ever, but to be perfectly honest, I thought some of his hip slang
Yeah.
felt outdated.
Shiznit.
Yeah, shiznit. And I'm like, really? Shiznit? It's just not cool on you anymore, man. Tommy Lee Jones wasn't in the movie enough, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Josh Brolin, though, fantastic. Just as the young Tommy Lee, he was the funniest and coolest thing in the movie. So, kudos to him. Jermaine Clement, I don't really know who he is, but he played Boris the animal, and he started off cheesy as hell. But he had a lot more interesting in the movie. The movie itself, it's much better than the second one, which was awful. But it's still short of the original by a country mile. Just it had a very sweet ending, which I wasn't expecting, and that's what you were talking about, I assume. Mm-hmm. I didn't expect a sweet and charming ending, and it really gave one, and it actually works quite a bit. Yeah. And it gives real closure to the character. So I'm happy with that, because the second one left you wishing that they had finished this off a little better. This one they actually finished off a little better. I really think the franchise just end.
Yeah.
You've done what you needed to do. I don't think there's a whole lot more story to tell. And this one was much better than I thought it was going to be. So out of 10, I give it 6.50.
I gave it a 6. I think part of the appeal of the Men in Black series was the newness of it. The first movie was so good because it was a brand new concept, and you really grew with Will Smith's character as you were learning it along with him. I think that was the big appeal and why that movie worked so well. And why the second one was such a failure outside of its many, many flaws was because he was already there. He's already in it, that kind of thing. In the third one, you kind of go back to that a little bit with the appeal of Josh Brolin playing that character, and it really works. You learn a little bit about Kay's history. You learn a little bit about some of the other characters, and it's really fun seeing Men in Black back in the 60s, especially like in like the airport terminal or whatever they, because all of the aliens and everything look like cheesy 60s, what you see on TV.
Yeah.
All the bright colors and everything. That was kind of fun. That said, like I said, I think they wrapped it up really well. I think the series should just stop here, and then a high note. But again, it wasn't a great film. I still just give it a 6.
The one thing I will say is they handled time travel well, which normally I don't like time travel in movies because, except for Back to the Future, I can't think of many where it was done well. This one was done very well. I really liked it. I liked the story. I liked how it played out, and I liked that the movie was very interesting. So
I did not like the villain, Boris.
No, I thought he was over the top, but thankfully he's not in it. He's kind of like the villain was in the first movie, where he's not in it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He's in it where he needs to be, and that's it. And that's kind of how this guy is. He's not taking up an inordinate amount of screen time. So, I liked it.
I don't know. I just think you got kind of like the villain. I mean, you got to like to hate the villain, and it just felt like he was acting the whole time I saw him. I just didn't buy him at all.
Yeah, well. So I give it a 6.5. Scott gives it a 6. Mm-hmm. Brian, you saw Chernobyl Diaries, right?
Yes, I did.
How was it?
Not too good.
Really? Oh, it's
Yeah. Don't waste your time. Wait till cable. Wait till Blu-ray. Whatever. But it's
What's it about?
But Chernobyl Diaries follows four friends. They meet up with another couple and a extreme tour guide, and he takes them on this unauthorized tour of Pripyat. It's the worker town that was next to the Chernobyl plant that had a meltdown 25 plus minus years ago. Just so, in case you don't know much about it, there was the town was just immediately evacuated. They just said, "Don't grab anything, leave now." So everything is just as they left it. They were prepping for May Day, which is their celebration of spring over in Europe and Russia. So they had this big fairground that was bumper cars, Ferris wheel, all kinds of stuff set up, and everything was just left. And it's quite literally a ghost town. So Chernobyl Diaries kind of uses this as a backdrop for one of the laziest horror movies I've ever seen. And they do very little to scare you. There are a few suspenseful moments, and there's even kind of a what the fuck moment, and that turns out to be kind of funny. And it isn't, the humor is intentional in this case, but you just kind of go, what the hell was that? So about probably 2/3 of the way through it, I was kind of hoping for this, maybe like a big twist, kind of like The Game with Michael Douglas.
Okay.
And unfortunately, it didn't come, and the ending that I pretty much had imagined about 3 minutes into it happened. So I give it $5 out of 10. And mainly the majority of that is just my odd fascination with the Pripyat town story, and just kind of how cool it was to kind of see these areas that that I ran around in playing Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, a few years ago. So, because it was kind of neat. It was, I played that game and just thought that it was a map that was created, from somebody's imagination. Didn't realize that was an actual, town. And some of the locations from that video game they're walking around it, and I'm going, I know how to get there. If you go through these buildings, you go through here, and blah blah blah. So that was kind of neat from a gamer perspective.
You're such a nerd. Such a nerd.
It is. Yeah, I am. So,
but I'd be doing the same thing.
Did they go into some of the history of that in the movie?
Very, very little. They do, like I said, they do talk about how, everybody just was forced to leave immediately, and they kind of let you know what the town was. It was basically a workers' town. You have all these high-rise apartment buildings that house work, and basically everybody that lived there worked at Chernobyl, because from the apartments you can see the plant, and it's just a couple of miles away.
Wow.
So like I said, I was disappointed with it. I'd give it a 5 out of 10, and to me, I think Oren Peli, I don't know. I've got my suspicions about his talent at this point.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
That's a bummer. I was really looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it does suck.
That does suck. Well, let's go to box office. Men in Black 3, which we talked about already, opened pretty decent, but it's also the weakest in terms of tickets sold in the series, so it did all right money-wise, didn't do all right franchise-wise. The Avengers held on strong. Men in Black made $54.5 million, $70 million over the 4-day weekend. Avengers, $36.6 million over Friday to Sunday. It only went down 34%. That's pretty phenomenal, actually. So it crossed the $500 million mark. They're saying there's a chance it could make $600 million, which would make it the third biggest film of all time.
And that's just U.S.
That's just U.S. It's already, it's going to pass Harry Potter by the time you listen to this. It'll have passed Harry Potter to be the number 3 biggest movie of all time, below Avatar and Titanic, worldwide. So, and Chernobyl Diaries opened to a whopping $7.9 million. So just Brian and a few of his friends saw it.
That's about it.
And one of our listeners sent in an article because Sean M. thought that it would be interesting for us to talk about. They basically said the Hunger Games and the Avengers, are they killing the box office for other movies because they've been the juggernauts for the last 2 months? Has that taken away from other big films? My personal opinion to that question is Avengers, or not Avengers, Hunger Games I don't think has really, but I think Avengers has. I think Avengers became kind of a phenomenon, and it has basically sucked up the early summer box office like I haven't seen since Avatar, really. So it's a juggernaut. I think Hunger Games had a really big weekend, and then it kind of slowed down. Avengers hasn't really slowed down much.
Yeah, pretty much everybody that wanted to see Hunger Games saw it on opening weekend.
Mm-hmm. At least half of them.
But if people are going to see multiple viewings of Avengers. I mean, yeah. I've seen it twice. Justin has seen it at least 3 if he hasn't seen it a 4th time since the last time we recorded.
He's probably watching it right now.
I've only seen it 3.
Yeah, I don't think Hunger Games was one that warranted multiple viewings, but Avengers, it just gets more and more fun each time you see it. That said, I'm with you. I think Avengers has affected it. I mean, look at Battleship. Battleship, like you mentioned, was a fun movie. Mm-hmm. It's barely making less than Men in Black on opening weekend. Men in Black barely passed. I mean, granted, 14 million, whatever.
Yeah, Battleship's only made like 40. It's to this point, it's made about $50 million. Yeah, and that's 2 weeks.
Poor Taylor Kitsch, man. I can't catch a break.
Yeah, it's too bad.
But
the question comes in: are people not seeing other movies to see the Avengers, or would people have stayed away from Battleship anyway? And, we can't ask every single person in America, so we'll never really know. I don't think that many people are avoiding or not seeing Battleship in favor of the Avengers. The Avengers, I think, is making more money than people ever anticipated. I don't necessarily think that it's sucking that much money away from other movies. I'd be more interested, though, to know how much more is this summer earning for the box office of Hollywood than last summer was. I think that might be able to tell the tale. Are people just seeing this more, but are they avoiding other movies too? I don't know.
I think a more specific question would be, how many people actually go out to see a specific movie, or how many people go and say, let's go to the movies and pick a movie when they're there?
Right. Yeah, I guess so.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know how many people actually go to the theater and pick when they get there anymore. I mean, it's so expensive.
Not 1984.
Yeah, it's too expensive, dude. People know what they're going to see. I think my personal opinion, just from people I've talked to, is that several of them were debating, do I want to see Dark Shadows, do I want to see Battleship, or do I want to go see Avengers again? And a lot of them would just rather see Avengers again, because if you're spending the money as much as it costs, Avengers is fun.
Right.
They want to go see it again with their friends because, they saw it with whoever the first time. Or they want to take their kids because they didn't know if their kids would like it the first time. I think it's one of those movies where it's just when people are... Because Battleship is very much the same demographic. It's the same. It's families and young males, really, is the target demographic. And I think those guys, they'd rather see the Avengers again than spend money for a movie they're not sure if they're going to like.
Mm-hmm.
And
do you think Joss Whedon's house just looks like a rave now?
I don't know how much money he actually made off it, but I'm sure he's okay.
Yeah. I mean, he must be making it rain.
He is. He's just taking ones and throwing them in the air.
Ones.
Shit.
50s.
Hundreds. With just Benjamins falling like rain, bitches.
Dude, when we do a free podcast, that's kind of how I just see everything in $1 bills. That's as big as my imagination goes.
I got you.
Can you feel that, baby? It's time. Justin's coming. Attractions.
All right, well, for June 8th, there are 2 films that we're going to be talking about. One of them that I think all of us are more than aware of. The other one I had never really fucking heard of until Aaron asked me to talk about it. So the first one's called For Greater Glory, though it also has another title of, and I'm sorry, my Spanish pronunciations aren't all that great, but Cristiada, I think is how it's pronounced. We'll see. It's a historical epic directed by Dean Wright and written by Michael Love. And it's based on the true story of the Cristero War, which apparently happened in 1926 to 29, about a rebellion which arose out of the Mexican government's persecution of Catholics. Although filmed in Mexico, and this is, I find this really odd. Although filmed in Mexico, it's in English. This isn't dubbed. There are no subtitles. It's all in English. The film's the directorial debut for Wright, who was actually a visual effects supervisor on The Two Towers and Return of the King. So that kind of leads a little bit of interest, or lends it a little bit of interest for me, but not a whole heck of a lot. But, now, Aaron, you're a great lover of the Mexican peoples based on your precise pronunciation of Latin names like Banderas. So I'm curious, are you at all interested in this film?
No. Nope, not at all. Nope, that's pretty much it. I just got nothing. I'm sure, no. No.
Even as a Catholic?
I'm not a Catholic.
You've told me
I'm a Baptist.
Baptist.
I'm a Baptist.
Oh.
Thanks for
we'll ask
listening.
you then. Brian, what do you think?
I've already got one Latin person that won't listen to me. Now I got two.
Yeah, it really doesn't do much for me. It really isn't much there to appeal to me and my interests.
Okay, so y'all are all racist. Okay, I get it.
No, I don't think it's about
No,
that. I'm not even interested in American history movies, much less something about Mexican history. I just can't get into this kind of film.
I live Latin history every day, man. Every day.
Just keeping it real on the streets.
That's right.
Yeah, I mentioned, in my little write-up of this that it was filmed in Mexico. It stars, from my viewing of the trailer, other than Peter O'Toole, everybody else looks like they're of Hispanic descent, and I've seen them in other films speaking Spanish. So I'm really curious, especially given the large Hispanic population that this country has, that this, would not have been filmed in Spanish.
I agree. Thought the exact same thing when I saw the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are they
Makes more
that
sense.
afraid that the Spanish-speaking populace of this country wouldn't be enough? And so if they filmed it in Spanish, that would just turn off most of your, non-Spanish speaking audiences to it?
I don't see why. I mean, I'll be honest. My wife, obviously, people that don't know, my wife is Latina, and her whole family would love to go see a movie that's in Spanish with good production values that's in Spanish. They just don't make anything that they can go see, and they go see modern films, and because her extended family don't speak fantastic English, it's harder for them to pick up, so they don't go as often to the theater to see it. They would love to go see something like this filmed completely in Spanish, and they're the only ones that are really going to go see it anyway.
I don't know if that's true, but
Well, a large portion. They would like to.
Probably.
You would get more of them out to see it if you filmed it in their native language, since it's about that, that culture.
I think if I was of that culture, I would actually be more than a little pissed off that it wasn't done in Spanish.
Might start another war.
Maybe they could call it Hollywoodia or something.
Hollywoody. Just add to whatever you come up with.
Yeah. Brian, did you have anything to add to that before we moved on?
I mean, I see your point, but the Hispanic population in the U.S. is only about 13%. So by making it solely in Spanish, and I understand your point, and for some part of it, I actually agree with it, but you're actually, to cut out 87% of your population, it's not good business sense from the movie makers, from the studio perspective.
Well, just because you do a film and put English subtitles, I don't think that's cutting out an audience. I mean, fuck, I don't speak Mandarin or Cantonese, but I sure enjoyed the hell out of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I think there are a lot of people who enjoy watching films, in a native language with subtitles. I mean, hell, can you talk to anybody about anime who actually wants to watch the dubbed version? They always turn their nose.
I've got no problem watching a subtitled movie either, but I know I am in a minority. If somebody's paying $10 a ticket or more to go to the movies, chances are they don't want to read.
Mm-hmm. True enough.
They need to learn Spanish because most people, or a lot of people in the world or in the U.S. now speak Spanish, and they should probably want to know what they're saying about them. Just saying.
Well, beyond that, I've got little interest in this film, mostly because, it's about a war on Catholics, and I got no problem with that. So
Jesus.
let's all move on to the next film, shall we? All right. Prometheus. I know nobody's heard of this one, so let me see if I can bring you guys up to speed on it. Prometheus is a science fiction film directed by little-known director Ridley Scott.
Little-known director.
Written by John Space and Damon Lindelof of Lost fame, because I need to make sure I mention that as many times per show as possible.
Mm-hmm.
The film stars just a cavalcade of celebrities. Naomi Rapace, who of course played Lisbeth in the original Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Michael Fassbender, Guy Pearce, Idris Elba, and Charlize Theron. Set in the late 21st century, the story centers on the crew of the spaceship Prometheus as they follow a star map discovered among the remnants of several ancient Earth civilizations. Led to a distant world and an advanced civilization, the crew seeks the origins of humanity, but instead discover a threat that could cause the extinction of the human race. Now, Brian, we've talked about this movie repeatedly, so I think it's safe to say that we're pretty amped for it. Is there really anything left to say regarding Prometheus?
There's not much, and you're right. We all are just tremendously on board with this movie. One thing I will say, though, is I saw an interview with Charlize Theron the other day, and they asked her about it, like, hey, what's it about? And she says, well, I don't want to say too much about it because they're really being super tight as far as the story goes.
That's awesome.
And that was one thing I really like to hear about it, is that they really, because the movie, the suspense is such a key factor in this movie that they don't want to, they don't want to let anything out, let out too much information, and then it's just a ho-hum. So I really like that. They've shown enough visuals to get me interested in it. Just telling me the fact that it's got something to do with Alien for me is enough. So give me a little bit, just give me little teaser shots like they've been doing, the little fast clips. I'm fine. I'll definitely be there to go check it out.
Yeah, it's no secret that I'm looking forward to this movie. This is my most anticipated movie of 2012, and while I don't think I'll enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Avengers, I'm stoked. I'm pretty much avoiding as much as I can about this because I want to go into it not knowing anything more than I already do. I'm amped. It looks a lot of fun.
I just love it. Ridley Scott still goes around and says, it's got nothing to do with Alien. And then he goes to another interview. Well, it's kind of has something to do with Alien. And he goes to another interview. Well, it's totally tied into Alien. He's just fucking with us at this point. And I think he's enjoying it.
Well, yeah.
I just think he sits back there with his little white cat, and he's just like,
I feel like the trailers have already shown too much, so
Yeah.
Please let everybody involved just keep their yaps firmly shut and don't spoil anything more. But it looks absolutely just jaw-droppingly amazing, so I can't wait to see it, and I will definitely be there.
And I will say
weekend.
that, just real quick, the trailer in 3D looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
yeah. This is filmed in 3D, so if you're going to see it, it might be worth it to see in 3 dimensions.
Ridley Scott seemed quite pumped to be doing it in 3D, so yeah.
And I got the R rating, right?
You know what I don't understand real quick? I mean, obviously, we this is one of those movies we don't want to talk ad nauseum about because it seems like, hey, this might be more interesting to see without knowing everything about it. What I don't understand is all over the internet, because the movie comes out a week before it comes out in the U.S., worldwide, there's tons of message boards and everything else where people are just spoiling the movie left and right, and tons of people are going to read it, and I don't understand why you would do that. Why
People are assholes.
No, but why would people want to read it? It says, I mean, I'll say clearly that Prometheus spoilers here, we saw the movie, here's what it's about. Why would you want to do that? I mean, it's done such a good job of keeping everything airtight, even if it sucks. I don't want to know ahead of time.
There are some people, like my wife does not mind spoilers. In fact, she actively looks for them if it's like a TV show or something. She does not mind in the least being spoiled. There are just some people who don't care. It's weird. I know.
Just got to know.
I don't get that.
Well, come June 8th, we'll all know.
All right.
What's this movie?
What's this movie? Each week we play a little movie clip and see if you guys can guess it. And if you do get it right, then we'll name you off on the show. Last week's answer was Howard the Duck. And only one person got it, and that was Sean M. So congratulations, Sean. This week it is...
I got it too.
What's that?
My brother actually got it too. We were listening to it on the drive up to Balticon, and it played because we were listening to it on the drive, and it played through. And he goes, "Yep, that was Howard the Duck." I'm like, "Fuck off!"
I would have never have gotten it if I didn't know what it was.
He's
So,
a machine. It's sick.
well, congratulations to him. And here we're going to do Scott Clark's choice this week. So this is Scott's clip. If you guess it, send us an email to feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com. That's feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com, and we'll name you off on the show. Here you go. We'll be right back.
We have normality.
Normality, right. We can talk about normality till the cows come home.
What is normal?
What's home?
What are cows?
It's all in the timing, baby.
Nobody's going to know what we're laughing about. All right, let's go to the couch.
Brian's my podcast boyfriend.
Well, we knew this was happening, but it's finally been confirmed. For the Blu-ray of E.T., Spielberg has agreed, and he has put the guns back in the FBI agents' hands. No more walkie-talkies.
When this was originally changed and the internet just cried out and all their vitriol, I never really understood what all of the clamoring. In Han shot second, I got it. When other changes have been made to films, I got it. But for some reason, the changing of a shotgun to a walkie-talkie, unless you are an E.T. purist that just cannot handle any minute or major change to that movie, I never understood what the huge outcry was. And so, okay, they're putting it back. So no harm, no foul, I guess. All those people whose childhoods were raped when Spielberg made that change can now be fucking unraped and everybody's good again. I don't understand. I never understood it then. I don't understand it now. What the fuck's the point?
Well, I will tell you, I thought it was just a cop-out. Honestly, I'm a huge E.T. fan, loved E.T. I thought it was perfectly normal that FBI agents were waving guns around, chasing children down the street. Perfectly fine with that. I just thought it was kind of silly for him to change it. I mean, he made the movie, let the movie stand. It just seems like a stupid thing to change. I saw no reason.
But I can understand from a Steven Spielberg perspective that the film was made to, it wasn't made just for children, but I could understand why he might think after the fact that new children watching this film and seeing adult authority figures running after children with shotguns might not be something he was all that comfortable with now, given time to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I can get that thinking, so I can kind of understand why he would make that change. It didn't. I mean, the fact that they never shot them, no kids were shot, so having them removed and replaced with walkie-talkies, it didn't change the intrinsic nature of the characters, of the film, of the story. Han shooting second changes a lot. Shotguns being exchanged for walkie-talkies changes really nothing. So for me, it was all much ado about nothing at all. Getting it changed back just mollifies that whole stupid argument. I don't know. I've said my piece.
Hannibal is already in development over on NBC, but now Clarice is being developed for Lifetime Television, and that's going to follow the exploits of Clarice Starling, played by Jodie Foster in Silence of the Lambs.
Here's what I have.
I thought you meant it was she was reprising the role. I was like, she's getting a little long in the tooth to be playing that, isn't she?
Here's my issue with this story. Number one, we've already got the one on NBC coming out, Hannibal. Mm-hmm. And that is based on the more interesting character from the Silence of the Lambs story, which is Hannibal. Mm-hmm. Clarice was a pretty cool character, but she was cool because of her interaction with Hannibal, not as a standalone character.
I agree with you.
I don't see this as being as nearly as interesting as something like Hannibal. I think this is going to get swept under the rug and not going to go anywhere.
I have no interest at all. None.
Well, is it going to be just your standard she's chasing after various serial killers?
Yes, that's what it looks like it's going to be.
All right, so then they just want to do a procedural, but they want to have a name that can get that initial draw.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it sounds like.
Yep.
Boo.
Yeah.
Boo.
Boo. Plus, I agree with you. Scott 100%. She's the least interesting character in that film.
Yeah.
I mean, of the two.
We're all agreeing with Scott.
Well,
Shit, write this down.
I just hope they pick somebody who does a better Southern accent than Jodie
yeah.
Foster
That
did.
was pretty bad.
I think she did all right because she won an Oscar for it.
What do you know? You're from fucking Chicago.
Touche. Can't really argue with that.
Wait, no, Texas from fucking Georgia.
Oh, all right. On that note, The Exorcist is being remade or / adapted, which however you want to call it, into a 10-episode TV series for an unnamed network.
Yeah, I'm going to hold out judgment on this one until I find out what network
Yeah.
is going to pick this one up. If it's ABC, this is it's stupid. But if it's HBO, we got some
FX.
potential. I mean, or to a lesser extent, FX, AMC, something along those lines, fine. But it's got to be somebody with at least that kind of credibility. But if it's what is it, Oprah's channel or some shit like that? I don't want any part of it.
That actually
Now,
brings... I'm sorry, go ahead, Justin.
Are they adapting the book or the movie?
It said the movie.
Huh.
The story.
Have any of you three read The Exorcist?
I have not.
No, I have not.
All right.
Read it years ago, but
Well, did you read it or did you listen to it?
no, I actually read it.
Okay. I love The Exorcist. I'm a massive horror book fan, and I have been for a very long time. No book ever scared me until I read The Exorcist. And I love the book, and one of the things I love about it is that unlike the film, in the book there's a lot more play made on whether or not she's really possessed or whether it's just some kind of psychological condition. I mean, by the end of it, all the shit going on really lends much more heavily to her being possessed, unlike the film where it's fucking apparent. I mean, I don't care how crazy you are, having writing on your stomach appear ain't fucking happening unless there's like a supernatural agency involved. If the show was going to go more towards that, lending some credence to the psychological part of it and then lending some to the supernatural and maybe leaving it till the end before they kind of play which one they're going to more, I would really be interested. But if it's just 10 episodes of her being more and more possessed as it goes on, I'm not sure how interested I would be in that. I hope there's a lot more made of that psychological element.
Well, the guy doing it is the guy that made the Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene movie.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And for the most part of that movie sucked. Now it's gotten some. There were a couple of tense moments, but right as I'm assuming it's about the equivalent of that Devil Inside movie, because once everything kind of builds up to the end and then it just says boop, stops. So but for some reason it was critically praised and all that stuff, but I don't see it. I don't know. This guy just doesn't, he's not off to a good start with me.
Okay.
So,
I'd be interested to know if it succeeds, if they would actually pick up the second book to do another series on which they base the third film on. Because that would be interesting.
The stuff that I read says that the guy making it on his take of William Peter Blatty's novel will be expanded to tell the story of the events leading up to a demonic possession and especially the after effects of how a family copes with it.
Interesting.
So
It still seems like not a whole lot of information to spread over 10 episodes.
I don't know, man. If you do it and it's a slow build up and then you resolve it in the 10th episode, but I don't know how you would continue a series on it unless you just follow different possessed kids.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. If they go into the second book, which they did the third film on, you could definitely carry that on, and just please avoid that second film at all costs.
It seems like this would be the right kind of property for an AMC, because you are a classics network, to adapt a classic film into a series seems like an interesting idea, but we'll see what happens. Speaking of TV movies, History Channel's first scripted film, The Hatfield and the McCoys, got the biggest cable ratings ever with 13.9 million, and that's huge for cable. and that's the initial airing of part 1. When they added part 1 repeated right after, it was like 17 million.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was out of town and I completely forgot to program my DVR to get this. I'm really pissed off that I failed to catch it, so I'm going to have to probably catch it either on iTunes or some repeat of it on History. I'm glad to see that the History Channel is finally doing history and not doing another fucking Pawn Stars show, which I guess, unless you want to talk about the history of the artifacts brought into that show, doesn't have a lot to do with the nature of the channel. But hopefully with the success of this, maybe they'll rethink this whole reality TV thing they seem to be exploring and go back to what they're supposed to be doing and explore more historical incidents and make TV shows based on it. But you know, you almost couldn't have avoided it being a success given the star power of the people involved. You can say whatever you want about old Dances with Wolves, but when he does a Western, he knows how to do it. Mm-hmm. And getting Bill Paxton in it, too, was a great bit of casting. So good on him. I hope this spurs on even more of this sort of thing. What
I think is interesting about the Hatfield and McCoys is the marketing approach they've taken with this, because I've seen more marketing for this on before movie trailers at the theater than I have even on TV.
Yeah, I would agree.
That I think that's really interesting because that shows the power of that marketing.
I actually never saw an ad on television, but I went to the theater and there's Kevin Costner's face. I'm like, wow, he's in a real movie again? And then no, he's on TV. Mm-hmm. But I never saw a commercial on television for it.
But if you watched more Pawn Stars, you would have.
I'll bet.
But we'll have a review of the whole series next week once it's concluded. But that's just very interesting. I thought that was very cool. Good for them. So let's go to DVD and Blu-ray.
All right, we're talking about the releases for June 5th. First off, we've got Safe House, which was Ryan Reynolds and Denzel Washington. Also, Journey to the Mysterious Island. That's Journey the number 2, not the word 2. Also, Act of Valor, which we got into a lot of trouble for on our review of that one.
Fuck that movie. That movie.
Also,
I commend the Navy SEALs, but everybody else, fuck them.
Also, John Carter, which was apparently good enough to go to DVD already. Mm-hmm. Machine Gun.
Fuck you.
They gotta make their money fast.
Fuck you, Taylor Kish hater.
Also, Machine Gun Preacher, Badass, and then 2 TV shows, Burn Notice Season 5, as well as Breaking Bad Season 4. We'll move on next to our flashback DVD.
No, real quick, I want to say something. I feel really bad for the fans of Breaking Bad, that because the season took so long to come on, they had to wait. How long has it been, Brian? Like a year and a half or something like this for this DVD?
Yeah.
I mean, that's fucking mean. It's just...
I've already got them. I've had them on from iTunes since the show was airing, so get on fucking iTunes you don't like it.
No, I don't even watch the show, so I don't really care. I just felt bad for people, they wait for the DVDs to release until right before the next season comes out, and they had such an elongated break between the seasons. People have had to wait like a year and a half to watch it again.
While I was gone, my wife said that she planned on rewatching all 4 seasons of Breaking Bad while I was gone for the week in anticipation of the next season. She made it about a season and a half before just the unending bleakness of that show got to be too much. She's like, I couldn't do it anymore.
Is it that bad?
It was just hurting my soul.
Man, I kind of want to see that.
Now, Eric, do you not watch it because it doesn't interest you, or you just...
I just got too many things to watch, man. I don't have time to watch it.
You are missing out, bro. Man.
I'll get around to it.
So good.
This is the last season. It'll all be on Netflix. I'll watch it all at once.
Stop watching Sight.
No, I won't.
Put down your Breakout Kings and all your other crappy TNT shows.
When does season 5 come out?
Dude, Psych is funnier than anything you're going to tell me about. So, season 5 starts pretty soon.
Yeah, I don't know when it starts. I won't make it.
All right.
Way to be specific, Aaron.
I don't know when it fucking comes out.
Ooh, yeah. Hit me with that unknown shit. Flashback.
All right, can we talk about flashbacks now?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
All right. So each week we do a flashback.
That is if Brian has his this week.
Ryan, do you have one this week?
What? Is it my turn again?
Or do I got to scrape the barrel and come up with one again?
I'll see if I can dig something up.
He's not ready.
So each week we do a flashback DVD or Blu-ray where one of us brings to the table a little known or obscure movie or TV show that we kind of want the rest of the table here to check out, as well as our listeners. So this week, it is Brian's turn again, and sounds like he's a little more prepared this week. So Brian, what do you have for us?
All right. My movie this week, I'm not really sure how I've missed this movie, other than the fact I didn't want to waste an hour and a half of my life. But it's been sitting on my Netflix instant queue for quite a while, and it's mainly just for one reason, because of it's got a badass cover. Mm-hmm. It's the Uwe. You can hammer me on this one, because this is the one guy I don't know how to pronounce, but Uwe Boll.
Uwe.
Yeah.
Uwe Boll.
Who's a badass director, and I don't mean that in a good way.
No, he's definitely got the rep for being for some pretty bad movies. But it's this massacre palooza freaking thing called Rampage. It follows a slacker, Bill Williamson, who lives with his parents, who are they're trying to kick him out of the house. He's got a crappy, low-paying job. His boss won't give him a raise, and he's constantly degrading him. And his best friend is this extremist with all these crazy views about overpopulation and population reduction, and kind of a nut job. Well, Bill, he finally had enough and kind of pieces together this. He flips out, pieces together this modern-day suit of armor and Kevlar, and just goes on this killing spree, just sparing no one. Walks around just down the middle of the street, shooting people. He'll walk into stores. He even robs a bank. And even in a relatively humorous scene, he actually stops for a little bit of lunch in a bingo hall. And it's hilarious, because here he is. He's got, all this armor, this helmet. He's packing these guns. He walks into this bingo hall, and nobody pays him any attention, because they're all looking down at their cards, stamping. And he's in there long enough to go. He walks through everybody to the back, orders something to eat, sits down, eats his dinner, and leaves. And it's actually a little bit funny, but like you said, Uwe Boll has got a pretty bad rep as a director. He's made some such timeless classics as In the Name of the King, A Dungeon Siege Tale, and House of the Dead. But in this case, he actually did a pretty good job with Rampage. The special effects and the extras acting was left a little bit to be desired. And it does start fairly slow, but it is kind of worth sticking around for the payoff at the end, because the payoff at the end is pretty good. But you can find it on Rampage on Netflix and Amazon Prime.
Okay. Now, let's go to our Stump the Hoe answer. Just to repeat the question, Will Smith has been out of the limelight for almost 4 years. Until 7 Pounds broke his streak in 2008, he maintained the record for most consecutive $100 million box office hits domestically. He still holds this record, but how many $100 million movies did he have in a row? The options were 6, 8, 10, or 12. Brian and Justin both picked 8, and Scotty picked 10. The answer was 8. So Scotty was wrong.
Damn it. I finally got one right.
Yes.
Yay.
Yay. So good job, everybody but Scott.
I didn't have Aaron fucking me over on this one. Yay. Leading me astray.
Oh, good job, guys. Now let's go to From the Outside In. Each week
Are you not going to list what they were?
I did list what they were.
Oh, did you?
6, 8, 10, and 12.
No,
the movie.
The actual movies.
Oh, no, I'm not going to name them all off. Shit. 8. That's all you need to know. There was 8.
No, you're just not making this shit up.
Because you'll just have to trust me.
Wow, that's asking a lot, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Last time
We
I
know
did
you.
that, I ended up with a mouthful of chloroform.
Sorry about that.
This
Does it smell like chloroform?
this week on From the Outside In. Each week we take a topic that's on ours or our listeners' minds and kind of just gloss over it as a little mutual discussion. This week...
We just gloss over it.
Yep. G.I. Joe 2. We discussed last week how G.I. Joe 2 was getting moved to 2013. And they were saying that it's based on the 3D transitioning. They want to make more money off it, so they want to transition the film from 2D to 3D. Well, it turns out that there's a lot more to it than just that 3D conversion. Channing Tatum has become more popular. There's talk of reshoots, etc. So the topic is this. Is 3D and small audience test screenings affecting how we see films for the better or for the worse?
I think for the most part, we never know. I mean, how many films can you point at that you know that an audience screening impacted the way that it ended or the story or anything? I can't hardly think of any.
Paranormal Activity?
I didn't even know about that one.
I thought that was when they screened like way in advance, and that's
But did they change the ending? Clerks, they changed that ending.
yeah.
There's a lot of films where that happened, and that's fine. This one's in particular, though, it seems like they're changing the entire movie because, you know, and it's hard to describe because you don't want to spoil it, but it's not going to matter anyway because it's not going to happen anymore. But Channing Tatum, his character was supposed to have a certain thing was supposed to happen to his character, and I'll try to say without spoiling it.
Dying?
Okay.
You pretty much said everything but that, so...
Okay, Channing Tatum's supposed to die. Now apparently they don't want him to die.
Yeah, I mean, it's being changed, so it doesn't matter. It's not a spoiler.
Yeah, but he was supposed to die. They're changing it because apparently he became more popular, so they can make more money off it. It seems stupid. The test screenings weren't entirely positive. They're basically changing the entire structure of the film a few weeks before it was coming out. That to me screams movie bad, movie bad, movie bad.
Yeah. It's lowering my interest in this movie, honestly. Like I was amped for G.I. Joe 2. I thought it looked a lot of fun, and now that they're doing this, we got to put it in 3D, and we're gonna change rewrites and stuff because somebody whined about it in a pre-screening. I don't know. I just the wind has gone out of my sails in this movie.
Are you guys getting sick of everything having to be 3D now?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, especially since this is being, post-processed. When it's something like James Cameron, who created this technology and is inspired by it and filmed using it, or Ridley Scott with Prometheus, in those instances, I'm incredibly curious to see what they do. Or even with Hugo, as much as I didn't think the film was as great as a lot of people said, the 3D aspect of it was quite well done. So for those people and for those films, I'm glad they did it. This is entirely post-processed. What the hell is the point? Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. I really feel like there is something more going on here, and we're just kind of given these, like a shell game about why it's being put off until next year. One person says 3D, another person hints at Channing Tatum. I feel like there's something else. Like maybe some higher up saw the film, just didn't like it, and demanded that certain things be changed, and now everybody's scrambling to give plausible reasons for why it is. But it just seems like they had built up a pretty good word of mouth and a pretty good, a lot of people kind of getting amped to see this that might not have been otherwise because those trailers were so good. Mm-hmm. To suddenly just wash all of that away and say, yeah, we're going to hold it off until next fucking year. That is a major, major move. I can't believe that it's just in the hopes of catching that Magic Mike audience or slapping a little extra 3D. That is such a bonehead move. I don't buy it. I think there's something else going on. So, did somebody lose did the hard drives get wiped? Did an EMP go off where this movie was being stored and they're having to redo the whole thing? Something else is going on. I'm not buying it.
I kind of agree that there's got to be something more going on with it because, they're trying to sell it as, well, it's only like $5 million worth of conversion. That's all it's going to cost us. There's no way that's factually accurate. They blew millions in a Super Bowl ad. They've had advertising going for a while. I mean, all over the place, billboards, posters, trailers in the cinemas and whatnot. They're spending money. They've already spent a lot of bank on this and advertising the June 29th release date. That's a huge deal to pull it 5 weeks before it's supposed to show up.
Hey, it could be the first movie to be advertised in 2 Super Bowls.
It really could.
There you go. Were you guys amped last year? Well, now you're really going to be amped because now it's in 3D.
What's even more disturbing
and
is
more Channing Tatum.
They put it in 2013. It's not going to be summer, right? It's going to be either Q1 or Q2 of 2013, which is not summer anymore. When
no, it's March 29th is when it's going to come out. I mean, 3D Magic Mike. That seems like that would make it more money. That's the kind of movie.
Whoa,
foreign audiences.
Coming at you. Maybe literally.
Do a double screening of that in Piranha 3 Double D.
Yeah.
I don't know. As far as the whole, audience testing, I do hate the idea of art being created and modified due to audience opinion. Sometimes it works out. I hate the original ending for Clerks. I absolutely hate that ending, and I'm so glad that was changed. I think Kevin Smith was entirely wrong in trying to go that dark hipster route and having Dante killed at the end of the movie. What stupid ass shit was that? It was also his first film, so we're all allowed our stupid moments when making art. But to take a film like this, or made by anybody competent, and then to suddenly change it because a couple of dipshits from Michigan or Alabama just didn't like the way one character was doing, is completely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So that's more on topic. There you go.
I just wish every movie would stop trying to be 3D. I really do. And this is just one more example of this is what Hollywood's going to do because it's making money overseas. And I get that. To some degree, that is true. They are making a lot more money overseas with 3D. Look at a movie like John Carter, which didn't do well here. It only made like $70 million. Overseas, it made $200 million.
Yeah, because I know they're part of the stuff that I've been reading is that I guess China and Russia are both they're building something like 2 or 3 new 3D movie theaters like every week or something like that. It's some crazy amount that they're just pumping these things out every week. So the 3D stuff is apparently a lot bigger than we realize overseas than it is here.
Well, the thing that bugs me with 3D is you don't have the option of seeing an IMAX film not in 3D. Like I went to see Men in Black 3 at an IMAX theater this week. I paid $15.50 to go see that movie. Mm-hmm. I wanted to have the big sound and the big picture, the nice clear picture. I didn't give a shit about 3D. Mm-hmm. But you don't have an option to watch it on an IMAX screen and with IMAX sound without 3D for cheaper.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. That's just the way it is now.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of it. I don't like converting every movie into 3D either, but they're making money off it. So
Men in Black 3 was completely unnecessary. I can think of maybe 2 spots in the film that had anything when he was shooting those things out of his hands or whatever.
That was obviously a converted movie. That was not a shot in 3D because there is no reason that movie needs to be in 3D whatsoever. Mm-mm. I mean, the movie's good. It's not great, but it's good. But in 3D, didn't matter at all.
Right.
I could have taken my glasses off at any time, wouldn't have missed a thing. And that's the problem with these conversions.
I don't want to miss a thing.
Never miss a chance, dude.
Just don't say it's been a while, because then I will have to start singing.
You've got these movies, and the ones that were shot in 3D usually look pretty decent. Mm-hmm. I don't love 3D, but I can understand the appeal. But the movies that were shot in 2D and then converted, I have yet to see anything that impressed me about that. Mm-hmm. So I just don't get it. I will say the Spider-Man trailer in 3D looks pretty badass. Was that shot in 3D? I don't know about that. I don't know, but that one I may have to go see just because. Well,
all the web slinging shit was all CGI'd, so that could have been easily rendered in 3D.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well,
that did look pretty badass. I mean, swinging through the streets of New York City in 3D, I could actually see that being a hell of a lot of fun. But I don't know, just pushing a movie like G.I. Joe 2, which already had, I mean, damn, that movie came out with 2 strikes against it, and then surprise, surprise, looked good, and now to just completely wipe that off, and now piss everybody off. Yeah,
and now make everybody leery about it. Everybody that was excited is now going, I don't know, man. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Well, that is our topic of the week. If you guys would like to email us a suggestion for a topic, you can email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com. We'd love to hear it. We will take your topic ideas to heart. Next week, we were going to review Snow White and the Huntsman, so be sure to come back and check that out. And we do have an email question from Mr. Dustin B. His question is, what are our quote-unquote policies in our married or dating lives when it comes to watching guy flicks and chick flicks in theaters with our significant others? Scott, why don't you go first? You've got the happiest life.
I don't have a whole lot of rules. I mean, I see a lot more movies than my wife does, and I have no qualms about seeing either a guy flick or a chick flick in the theater. I prefer to reserve theaters for things that I want to see on the big screen, but I'm not gonna not go see a chick flick with her if she wants to. But it's come down to with as many movies as I watch, for the show or for pure enjoyment, that I go to movies and she'll come to one if she's interested in one that I'm already going to go see. But there's not really any policies.
No policies, no procedures.
No.
What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I'm kind of lucky where most of the ones that I want to see, my wife wants to see also. And every now and then, if it's a slow, what I call a slow week, where there's no big blockbuster or special effects heavy action flick that's playing, that's when I kind of offer up the, hey, do you want to go see this romantic comedy?
You want to go see The Vow again?
Yeah, but there are certain ones that I just will not go. I basically will not go see anything Nicholas Sparks does. I'm,
If it's not
sorry.
Stephanie Meyer, you're just not interested.
And there's, and I've kind of been lucky where a couple of the bigger ones that she's wanted to see, I like the Hunger Games. She was all about that, and it was like, okay, we can go see your movie. Where I kind of wanted to see it too, so kind of worked out. But it's a give and take, and I probably take more than I give. But I'm the one with a fucking podcast, so.
Gotcha. Nice way you can use that. Justin?
It's really odd. My wife has no interest in chick flicks whatsoever. If it's got even a whiff of chick flick on it, she will not see it. Of the two of us, I am much more likely to see a quote unquote chick flick than she is. Now, if it's got a lot of bullets, a lot of explosions, some fast cars, dudes getting their shirts blown off, she's more than happy to go. I mean, hell, her favorite time in the theater is going to see something like, Fast Five. If they do make a Bad Boys 3, she will be first in line. So those sorts of movies she loves and adores. I like them too, so I'm pretty fortunate that she's more than happy to go see those. And no, she would never, ever, ever drag me to see a Nicholas Sparks film, ever. I would probably drag her, but I don't think I could even do that.
Maybe I should talk the wife into moving to Dallas, and then we can double date, and me and your wife will go to some dude flick, and you and my wife can go to some chick flick.
We can go cuddle and just cry in each other's popcorn.
Exactly.
I get pretty lucky in that respect. My wife will see anything. She really is, with the exception of horror movies. She won't go to horror movies, so those I go with my kids. But she actually, it's almost to the point of what can I work out so she doesn't go with me.
Well, she went and saw Machete with us and
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
She loved it. Loves Machete. I mean, she went and saw Machete, and she's laughing her ass off, and it's all Hispanic humor. I mean, but she loves that kind of stuff. She loves Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez and a lot of weird shit that most women, especially, and I don't mean to characterize people in anything like that, but most women that I know would not be into it all. She really likes a lot of guy flicks, so I don't have to make any arrangements or deals, and I know a lot of guys do. And if she asked me to go see a chick flick, normally she would go with her friend, but if she asked me to go, I'd go. I mean, she sits through a lot of crap that I don't think she should have to suffer through, and she does because she likes movies. So, it works out good. And horror movies, I really wish she would like horror movies more, because that would be nice to see her scared shitless. Need me a little bit, feel needed.
The Blair Witch ruined my wife on horror films. Ever since then, she has refused to see another horror movie.
Really?
That scared her shitless. So I have to go on my own or with my brother to go see a horror movie these days.
Yeah, that part does suck, because I have to wait until my daughter's free, and that's kind of hard to do anymore. And, oh well. What are you going to do? Well, that's it. That's the show. See ya. Just kidding.
Adios.
You can find us each week. TheHollywoodOutsider.com is our website, and we're not a constantly updated website. It's basically for the podcast. It's TheHollywoodOutsider.com. Facebook.com/TheHollywoodOutsider. You can email us with any thoughts or questions or topic ideas or flashbacks of your own to feedback@TheHollywoodOutsider.com. Please tell your friends. Subscribe on iTunes. Listen on your Stitcher Radio app. Give us a thumbs up if you do. Zune, Google Reader, or any old plain RSS feed. We would appreciate you getting the word out there. The more people you tell, the more people listen, the more worthwhile it is for us. So I want to thank each of the podcasters. Brian Williams is available on Twitter @BrianWMS. Thanks, B.
Thank you.
Mr. McCumber, who is the host of the Dead Robot Society. It's a weekly podcast for aspiring writers, available at deadrobotsociety.com. Thanks you, Mr. McCumber.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being on. And also, his book Haywire is available now at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iBooks, and for your Kindle or Nook. Scott Clark, who's the host of the Official Thread podcast. Hey, Scotty, thank you.
Usted tiene buenas noches.
Oh, my God.
He's been waiting so long just to do that.
I could tell he's had that lined up in the chamber, just ready.
Wow. Well, he's got a monthly podcast, The Official Thread, and that will have a new episode this
weekend, actually, yeah.
Yep.
And
it's a monthly podcast for gamers.
Yeah, we got a pretty cool topic. We're talking about how porn and video games is ruining men.
Sounds like Scott Clark's kind of topic. It's available on iTunes and Stitcher and at Official Thread on Twitter. So the new episode will be out this weekend. So from all of us at The Hollywood Outsider, the next time you go to a theater, buy popcorn.
Decision for me letting you go. No time to visit, I just wanna go home. You're unable to understand that I'm doing the best I can, and all I know is all I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home.
Talking about this episode, and we can't because, Justin's here.
I will say it's...
You want me to hang the fuck up? Stillwater may have to sit on the back burner a while longer than I thought it might. So we'll just have to see.
I can't hear the word Stillwater without thinking of Almost Famous.
I know. I'm a golden god.
The guy that
Wow,
announces him.
you're ripping off movies left and right, aren't you?
I'm telling you, if it's not Haywire, it's fucking Cameron Crowe.
I've got this story coming out. It's called Alien.
It's called Star Wars. It's pretty cool.
All right, ready?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that's a callback. I haven't heard that in a long time. I'm just sad that you hated my childhood. What were you going to say, Scott?
Here's what I think is funny. That
Fuck your childhood.
they have to remove shotguns and replace them with walkie-talkies, but penis breath is still perfectly acceptable.
Well, you can't hurt anybody
What?
with a penis.
Yeah, you can.
That actually is kind of a good point. Penis breath sounds like a much more offensive thing than... No, I'm actually not trying to make a cheesy, pathetic joke. It seems like a much more offensive thing nowadays than waving a gun at a kid. It does, because it's like, oh, are you calling him gay? I just expect that kind of argument to come up. If that were made now, that's what would happen.
Well, there's only one way you get penis breath.
Are we really doing this?
No, we're going to edit that out.
Cock Talk with Scott and Aaron.
This is the Hollywood Outsider, a weekly entertainment podcast where this week we are talking about the latest in movie and TV news, looking at upcoming releases including Prometheus. We're reviewing Men in Black 3 and Chernobyl Diaries. We have our own trivia and flashback DVD segments. This week on our From the Outside In topic, we're going to talk about, in light of last week's G.I. Joe 2's last minute switch to 2013, is DVD... Fucking... God damn it! Fucking... Fuckity... Fuck... Fuck... Fuckity... Fuck... Fuck... Fuck...